Dr. Emma Collins stood outside the little corner cafe, her breath fogging the glass door as she hesitated for what felt like the 100th time. Her reflection in the window looked uncertain. A strand of auburn hair had escaped the neat bun she'd pinned that morning, and despite her careful attempt at makeup, there was still that subtle shadow under her eyes, a trace of long hospital shifts and nights spent charting patient notes until dawn. "Come on, Emma," she whispered to her reflection. "It's just coffee, just a blind date. You survived 12-hour ER shifts. You can survive this." But her stomach fluttered anyway, a nervous, unsteady rhythm that no amount of logic could silence. Her sister Claire had set this whole thing up. "You need to get out of the hospital once in a while," Claire had said. "There's life beyond scrubs and stethoscopes. Michael Bennett, trust me, he's great. Successful, kind, easy on the eyes. My friend swears he's perfect for you. Perfect." Emma had almost laughed when she heard that. She didn't believe in perfect anymore. Life had cured her of that illusion years ago. Still, she'd agreed, half to quiet Claire's relentless matchmaking, half because a small, secret part of her wondered if maybe, just maybe, this could be something. Now that she was here, standing outside Cafe Verde, with its warm lights spilling onto the street and the smell of roasted coffee drifting through the air, she wasn't so sure. She reached for the door handle just as it opened from the inside. A man stepped through, tall, sharply dressed in a charcoal gray suit that looked tailored, not bought off the rack. He carried himself with that quiet confidence that spoke of success, but not arrogance. His dark hair was neatly combed, his jaw clean-shaven, and when he smiled at the hostess, a dimple appeared just at the corner of his mouth. Emma's pulse skipped. That had to be him, but then behind the man came a sudden burst of motion and sound. 3 identical little girls, each wearing the same pink dress, the same white sandals, their blonde hair tied with ribbons that bounced as they moved. Triplets. They giggled and pointed at the pastry case, whispering to each other in the secret language of sisters. The man, Michael, presumably, turned to hush them gently, and when his eyes lifted again, they met Emma's. Recognition flickered instantly. He smiled, that same warm, disarming smile, and approached. "Emma?" he asked. "Yes," she said, her voice steadier than she felt. "Michael? That's me." He glanced behind him, sheepish. "And these," he gestured to the 3 girls now peeking from behind his legs, "are my daughters, Lily, Rose, and Violet." He exhaled softly, clearly embarrassed. "I'm so sorry about this. My babysitter canceled last minute, and I couldn't reach you to reschedule. I didn't want to stand you up, so here we are. I hope that's okay." Emma blinked. 3 children. Triplets. Her sister had left that part out, but the look in Michael's eyes, apologetic, genuine, and just a little desperate, made it impossible to be annoyed. "It's fine," Emma heard herself say. "I work with kids. I love kids, actually." His relief was immediate. "Thank you. I completely understand if this isn't what you signed up for. This is far from a conventional first date." Emma smiled faintly. "Let's see how it goes." They found a table near the window. The cafe was cozy, filled with the hum of conversation and the faint hiss of steaming milk. The girls slid into their seats with surprising politeness, each one claiming a corner of the booth. Lily, the one with a tiny purple flower clip in her hair, studied Emma with solemn curiosity. Rose, clearly the bold one, grinned and waved. Violet just clutched a small stuffed bunny and watched with wide blue eyes. Michael ordered coffee for himself and Emma, and hot chocolate for the girls. When the waiter left, he sighed and rubbed the back of his neck. "I should probably explain," he began. "I'm a single father. Their mother passed away 2 years ago. It's been just the 4 of us since then. I don't date much because, well, this." He gestured toward his daughters, who were now carefully unwrapping napkins and stacking sugar packets like tiny architects. Emma's heart softened. "I'm so sorry." "That must have been incredibly hard," he nodded, eyes distant for a moment. "It was, still is some days. But we're managing. The girls are my world." At that, Lily tugged on Emma's sleeve. "Are you going to be our new mommy?" Emma nearly inhaled her coffee. What?" Michael groaned softly. Lily, sweetheart, we talked about this. Emma's daddy's friend. We just met. But you said you were going on a date, Lily insisted. Dates are for finding mommies. Rose nodded solemnly. We need a mommy. Daddy tries, but he's not very good at hair. And pancakes, Violet added helpfully. He burns them. Michael dropped his face into his hands. This is going so well, Emma burst out laughing. The girls giggled too, clearly pleased with themselves. As the afternoon unfolded, the awkwardness melted away, replaced by laughter and surprising ease. Emma found herself drawn in, not just by Michael's quiet charm, but by the chaotic sweetness of his daughters. They talked about everything. About her work as a pediatric nurse, how she loved her patients even on the hardest days. About his company, Bennett Enterprises, a tech firm he'd built from scratch before life took its unexpected turn. I'm a CEO, he admitted, almost reluctantly. But honestly, these days I feel more like a chauffeur, chef, and bedtime storyteller. You sound like a good dad, Emma said softly. I try, he replied. They deserve that much. As he spoke, he wiped chocolate from Rose's chin, tied a ribbon back into Violet's hair, and gently reminded Lily not to dip her sleeve into whipped cream. There was no pretense in his actions, no performative effort. Just love, steady, unspoken, unconditional. When the girls finished their pastries, Emma pulled 3 crayons from the table's basket and slid the cafe's coloring menus toward them. It gave her and Michael a few quiet moments. Can I ask you something? She said. Of course. Did you know this was a blind date? Because your daughters seem pretty convinced you're actively looking for a new mom. Michael sighed, half amused, half exasperated. Yeah, that's my friend Ryan's fault. He thinks I need to get back out there. I finally agreed to one date just to shut him up. The girls overheard and got invested. So you don't usually bring them along? This is my first date in 2 years, he said. Honestly, when the babysitter canceled, I almost didn't come. But then I figured I at least owed you an explanation. He looked at her, eyes warm. And now I'm sitting here with a beautiful woman who works with kids and hasn't run screaming after being interrogated about motherhood. So I'd say it's going better than expected. Emma felt her cheeks flush. They're wonderful girls. They are, he said quietly. They saved me in a way. Time slipped by unnoticed. The afternoon sun slanted through the window, bathing their table in gold. The girls drew pictures. Emma, Michael, and 3 stick-figure girls holding hands. At one point, Violet reached across the table and offered Emma a crayon. You can color too. So Emma did. For the first time in years, she felt something shift inside her. A sense of warmth, belonging, possibility. When Michael finally checked his watch, surprise flickered across his face. Wow, 2 hours, Emma laughed. Guess we lost track of time. It's almost nap time, he said ruefully. Trust me, you don't want to see what happens when we miss nap time, she smiled. I'll take your word for it. He hesitated, then asked, would you maybe like to do this again? Next time, without the audience? Emma looked at the 3 little faces watching her, hopeful and sleepy. I'd love to see you again, she said. With the audience. They're part of you. Michael's smile was genuine and bright. Really? Really. But only if you let me teach you how to make proper pancakes, he chuckled. Deal. The next few months unfolded like a slow, unexpected spring after a long winter. They started with coffee dates, playground outings, zoo trips. Emma learned that Lily loved to read. Rose wanted to be an astronaut, and Violet, sweet. Shy Violet had a talent for painting tiny rainbows on everything, including her father's work folders. Michael learned that Emma's laugh could light up a room, that she had a quiet strength, the kind that made children trust her and adults confide in her. He learned that Sunday mornings in her kitchen, flipping pancakes under her supervision, were the happiest hours of his week, even when the pancakes were still a little lumpy. Bit by bit, Emma became part of their world. She learned to braid hair, helped with school projects, kissed scraped knees, and somewhere in those small, ordinary moments, she realized she was falling in love, not just with Michael, but with all of them. One evening, after the girls had fallen asleep following a movie night, Michael joined her on the couch. the glow of the TV flickering across their faces. "They adore you," he said softly. "I adore them too," she replied. He hesitated, then took her hand. "When I showed up to that first date, I expected you to bolt. Most people would have. But you stayed. You made them feel safe. You made me feel like maybe I didn't have to choose between being a dad and being me." "You shouldn't have to," Emma whispered. "Your daughters are part of you. Anyone who loves you has to love them too." He looked at her, eyes tender. "Do you?" She didn't flinch. "Yes, all four of you." The next morning after that conversation, Emma woke to a text message. "Michael, you free this afternoon? The girls insist on showing you their secret park." She smiled, coffee in hand, her heart fluttering like it hadn't in years. "Emma, secret park sounds intriguing. What's the dress code?" "Michael, according to Lily, princess casual." Whatever that means. When Emma arrived, the secret park turned out to be a quiet clearing behind a line of old oak trees, tucked beside a pond where ducks drifted lazily across the surface. The triplets had laid out a blanket, small sandwiches, and apple juice boxes. Michael had tried to contribute with store-bought cookies that were already half-eaten. "We were testing them," Rose said matter-of-factly when Emma laughed. As they picnicked, Emma realized how much the girls had opened up to her. Lily was the little caretaker fussing over her sisters. Rose was bold and funny, unafraid to challenge every rule. Violet, quieter, would often climb into Emma's lap just to listen to the grown-ups talk. It felt natural, effortless even. After the girls ran off to chase ducks, Michael leaned back on his hands, watching them with quiet affection. "They've changed since you came around," he said. "They laugh more, sleep better. Even Lily, who used to have nightmares, hasn't woken me up in weeks." Emma's heart ached, touched, and heavy all at once. They just needed stability, someone to show them that it's okay to be happy. Again, he looked at her, then really looked, and she saw something, unspoken flicker behind his eyes, gratitude, hope, something. More over the weeks that followed. Emma found herself woven deeper into their routine. Tuesday dinners, Saturday pancake mornings, Sunday story time at the library. Michael's house became her second home, and slowly the line between his life and hers blurred. One night, after the girls were asleep, they sat on the porch wrapped in a blanket, listening to the crickets sing. "You know," Michael said quietly, "for years I thought my life was over, not in a dramatic way, just settled, like I'd used up all my chances at happiness." Emma turned toward him. "And now?" He smiled faintly. "Now I feel like I got a second chance. And it scares the hell out of me." "Why?" she asked softly. "Because I don't ever want to lose this again." Emma rested her head against his shoulder. "Then don't. Hold on to it. We'll figure it out together." He took her hand and kissed it. "Together," he repeated, as if testing the word, and it felt right. So right it hurt. A winter of new beginnings. As autumn faded, Boston dressed itself in snow. The girls built lopsided snowmen in the front yard while Michael and Emma tried to keep up, laughing when Violet insisted on naming each snowman after one of them. "Mommy Emma!" she declared suddenly, patting her snow sculpture's round head. Emma froze. Michael looked up, surprise flashing in his eyes. Violet beamed innocently. "What? She's our Emma." Emma knelt beside her, smiling softly. "That's a beautiful name, sweetheart. Thank you." Later that night, as they tucked the girls into bed, Michael lingered at the doorway. "They've started calling you that sometimes," he said. "Behind my back," Emma chuckled quietly. "I don't mind. Do you know what that means to them? To me?" He stepped closer. "You're not just someone I'm dating, Emma. You're becoming part of who we are." She touched his cheek, her voice steady. "That's exactly what I want." The proposal 6 months after their first chaotic coffee date, the girls had just fallen asleep after a movie night. Blankets everywhere, popcorn under the couch cushions. Michael looked at Emma across the room, her hair loose, her face glowing in the soft light of the TV. "I want to tell you something," he said quietly. "Okay," she smiled. "Should I be sitting for this?" He took a breath. When I showed up that day at the cafe, I thought I was making a huge mistake. I almost canceled twice, but I didn't, because something told me to show up, even if it was messy. And then you were there, and you stayed. He reached into his pocket. Her breath caught when she saw the small velvet box. I want you to be part of this family officially, he said. I want the girls to have a mother who loves them, and I want a partner to share my life with. Will you marry me, Emma? Her eyes filled with tears. She covered her mouth with trembling hands. Yes, she whispered, then stronger, laughing through the tears. Yes? Absolutely yes. Michael exhaled a laugh of pure relief and pulled her into his arms. For the first time in years, neither of them felt alone. The morning after, when they told the girls the next morning, the kitchen erupted into chaos, squeals, hugs, confetti made from torn napkins. Lily jumped onto a chair and shouted, "We knew it!" Rose pointed triumphantly at her sister. I told you Emma was going to be our mommy. How did you know? Emma asked, still laughing. Because you didn't leave, Rose said. Because you taught Daddy to make pancakes, Violet added. And because Daddy smiles more now, Lily finished solemnly. That means you love him. Michael knelt, wrapping all three girls in his arms. And you know what? You're right. Their wedding was small, intimate, filled with family, friends, and laughter. The triplets walked down the aisle as flower girls, scattering rose petals with ceremonial importance. Emma's sister gave a speech that had everyone laughing and crying at once. When Emma agreed to a blind date, she expected coffee with a handsome CEO. Instead, she found herself face to face with a ready-made family, and she didn't run. She stayed. Michael's toast that night was simple. I brought my daughters to that blind date because I had no choice. But I needed to know if someone could love all of us. Emma, you didn't just love us. You made us whole. When Emma spoke, her voice trembled with emotion. I wasn't looking for a ready-made family. But when I met you and the girls, I realized love doesn't always come in the shape we expect. Sometimes it comes as three giggling girls and a man with burnt pancakes. The crowd laughed. Michael kissed her hand. 2 years later, 2 years after that unforgettable date, their house echoed with even more laughter and crying and squealing and chaos. Twin boys had joined the family. Samuel and Noah. The triplets had insisted on helping name them, which resulted in a week-long debate involving fairy tale princes and fruit names before a compromise was reached. Life was noisy, messy, exhausting, and perfect. Emma sometimes sat on the porch at night, listening to the sound of Michael reading bedtime stories through the open window. His voice, steady, calm, full of love, still made her heart flutter. One night after the twins were asleep, Michael joined her outside, 2 mugs of cocoa in hand. Do you ever regret it? He asked softly. Taking on 3 daughters and 2 more babies in 3 years? Going from single nurse to mom of 5? She smiled, eyes glinting in the moonlight. Never. That blind date was supposed to be an inconvenience. Instead, it gave me everything I didn't know I needed. He leaned over, brushing a kiss to her forehead. Even the lumpy pancakes? Especially the lumpy pancakes, she teased. That's how I knew you needed me. The story. They told, whenever people asked how they met, Emma and Michael always told the truth, with help from their now 8-year-old triplets, who loved to interrupt. Daddy brought us on a date, Lily would say proudly. It was supposed to be just Daddy and Emma, Rose added. But the babysitter canceled. So Daddy brought us, and Emma stayed, Violet finished, always with a little dramatic flair. Michael would chuckle and say, most people would have left, but Emma saw past the chaos to what we could be, a family. Emma would smile, wrapping an arm around him. I thought I was meeting a man for coffee. Instead, I met my husband and my daughters all at once. Are you glad the babysitter canceled? The girls would always ask, though they already knew the answer. Best babysitter cancellation in history, Emma would reply every time. Because it meant I got to meet all of you on day 1. Years later, time passed. The triplets turned 10. The twins started preschool. Michael's company grew, but he always made it home in time for dinner. Emma took on a new role at the hospital, training pediatric nurses, mentoring new staff. But no matter how busy life got, Sunday mornings were sacred. Pancake day. Sometimes the pancakes were perfect. Sometimes they were burnt, but they always made them together. One rainy afternoon, as the kids sprawled across the living room drawing family portraits, Emma noticed Violet sketching 7 figures, 5 small ones. One tall man and one woman with red hair. "Who's that?" Emma asked, smiling. "You," Violet said simply. "The heart of our family." Emma's eyes stung. She looked across the room at Michael, who was trying and failing to wrestle a stuffed bear away from Noah. Their home was loud, cluttered, imperfect, and absolutely, completely right. Epilogue. The perfect imperfection years later. When the kids were older and family dinners louder, Emma sometimes thought back to that first date, the cafe, the spilled cocoa, the triplets' blunt honesty. She remembered the moment Lily had asked, "Are you going to be our new mommy?" And how something inside her had shifted, though she hadn't understood it then. Now she did. That question had been the beginning of everything. Love hadn't arrived wrapped in romance or perfection. It had arrived with 3 little girls in matching pink dresses, a flustered father in a suit, and a canceled babysitter. It had arrived messy, inconvenient, chaotic, and exactly on time. Whenever Michael told the story at gatherings, he always ended the same way. "Bringing your kids on a blind date? Terrible idea. Unless the person you meet is exactly right, then it's perfect." And Emma always smiled, echoing softly. It was perfect. Chaotic and unexpected, and nothing like what I'd planned, but absolutely perfect. Das ND.